October 16th, 2016. From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is episode 111 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall. Sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
And sitting in front of us is the Vegas Internet Mafia. Give yourselves a hand. Now, on a recent episode, Mike, you said that for VIMFP, you were going to kind of change things up.
Right.
Go low rolling.
Yep.
And drink a little bit.
Right.
And how has that gone on this trip so far?
Pretty not.
He is playing exactly the same as he always does.
There was that one hand. There was one hand where I didn't bet as much as usual.
And how much have you had to drink?
I had 2 beers.
And one of the beers was at the main event last night, so that doesn't even count.
Right.
All right, so it's same old,
I'm
same
saving
old.
myself for tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, we're going to tell some stories. Some of you have heard, some maybe you haven't heard. Well, there's one in particular we know nobody has heard. So we're just going to tell some stories. I want to start off by saying, and Mike, tell me what you think about this. I'm a bit of a know-it-all.
No, I don't think so.
I might be what Tim calls a pedantic
Yes.
at times, right?
That's where the definition came from, Tim.
In fact, now I brought the card protector that I use at our poker home game. I couldn't find it in our luggage. We got locked out of our room right before the show. Maybe you saw my tweet. But Mike, what does it say on the card protector that I put on top of my cards at our poker home game?
It says, "Don't be a dick."
It's for me to look at, so when I'm in the middle of the game, I don't, tell somebody, "Oh, I can't believe how horribly you played that," or, "It's your turn to act."
It's a reminder to you, but it can also be, you can flash that.
Sure. And how effective do you think it's been? You've played at the game.
It's not effective at all.
It's not very effective.
It's a chip that you never look at.
So it's karmically appropriate that I am responsible for the biggest blunders in our gambling lives.
Yeah, most people would say it's me. I mean, I think everyone would agree with that, but it's not. It's Mark.
Yeah. We were going to talk about 2 of them, but there's a third one now that happened this morning at the Hangover Challenge Cup, the tournament, the very last hand. If I had taken a card, which was the correct thing to do according to blackjack basic strategy.
Which he always goes on about,
but I'm
right?
thinking, this is a tournament, right? I got to be thinking on multiple levels here. And, if I had taken a card, I would have won the tournament. We figured it out afterwards. Instead, I didn't take a card. I came in 5th place. No money.
No money.
So congratulations to Jim who won. All right. Well, a few years back, we were coming to Vegas, and I'm always in charge of setting up the plane reservations. So I'm looking online, Southwest, we live in San Diego, so Southwest is basically the way to get here. And so every day I'm looking at the rates and thinking, I got to pull the trigger here eventually. Well, one day I look, and the rates have gone down a significant amount. So I said, okay, Mike, I'm making the reservations. Here's the deal. We're good to go.
Ian, I'm always saying, just make the reservations.
No, but I was, let's get a good price.
Waiting for it to go down $4.
So finally, it's a good deal to make the reservation. So we're all set to go. So Mike's wife drops us off at the airport, and we're looking for our flight up on the monitor, and we don't see it. We don't see the number. And I'm thinking, well, what's going on here? Maybe it was canceled or something like that. So we go up to the Southwest rep, and she's looking, and she's typing. I've got the printout of everything. She's looking. She says, "Oh, yes, that flight's scheduled to arrive in about an hour." And I'm thinking, well, yeah, it's about an hour flight to get there. And the wheels start going, and it occurs to me, I've made reservations in the opposite direction. So, it's that feeling where you've made a horrible mistake, but you're thinking, well, there's got to be some way out of this. We just...
There's no way out. And I'm thinking, what? I mean, how does that happen? How does that happen?
Now it's occurring to me. The airfare didn't go down. I was looking at different flights. So anyway, we're talking to the rep. There are no flights. It's a Friday night, to Vegas. There are no flights available. I get on the phone with America West, now defunct, but they were the other airline that flew out of there. And I said, yeah, we're looking to go out to Vegas tonight. And this is honest, she laughed over the phone, like, you're nuts. So there was nothing else to do. We had to drive. I mean, we were going to
miss our trip.
So we ended up driving. And
How do we get home?
We drove. I think we drove home too, if that's your question.
No. How do we get the car? We're at the airport.
Oh, that's right. Well, we probably had to call. I don't
we
even
called
remember
my
how
wife. Yeah,
but
how she came back and got us.
And then we had to drop her off on the way
and
to
go.
Oh,
yeah.
So, okay, so that's one blunder that we were going to talk about. The other time, so back in the olden days, in the early '90s, when California the casinos could not bank table games. So if you wanted to play games, a player would have to act as the bank. And they had some goofy games that were kind of like blackjack.
Like 22, instead of blackjack, it was 22.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So we would go out every weekend. Neither one of us was married, and so every weekend we were out there at the casino playing Pai Gow Poker. And again, a player would bank, and then the other players would basically bet against him. And the way the house made money was they would take a commission. The house had to pay like $2. Whoever was banking had to pay $2, and then for every $100 as a player you bet, it was like $1.
$1, right? $1 for every 100.
And so we would pool our money and maybe play a couple of different hands, what have you. So I'm setting a hand, I'm looking, and it's a pretty good hand. I don't know how many people are familiar with Pai Gow Poker, but you make a 5-card hand and a 2-card hand. It was a pretty good hand. So I tossed my cards to the dealer, the actual dealer at the table. I wanted to see how he would play the hand.
You could ask a dealer their advice.
Yeah.
And they would set it house way for you.
You didn't have to follow their advice. So I tossed it to the dealer, and he looked at it. He said it basically the way I did.
Right.
And Mike's thinking, why did you even ask? You knew how to play it. So anyway, I set the hand. We had $100 out there, right? I think it was
$100. Yeah.
And so the hand plays out, and the dealer shows the house's hand, and it's going around and turning over. And they get to our hand, and I have split it into a 4-card hand and a 3-card hand.
So that's technically a foul.
It's a foul. If you were to do that at a casino here, and the house was acting at bank, they would probably let you reset the hand. Just as, we'll play it house way. But since we're playing against other real people, loser. I had a winning hand and it was a loser. So he let me have it. It's like, why did you even give the cards to the dealer if you knew how to set it and then you ended up fouling like that?
It wasn't that bad.
It was bad. It's funny because back in those days, it was kind of the Wild West. It was not very well regulated. And
No, it was a scene out of Deer Hunter. If you've seen the movie Deer Hunter, that's what it was like playing Pai Gow Poker in these casinos. There'd be like 100 people around a card table.
Yeah, they'd just be all deep, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about in Macau stadium seating. That was this, shortest in front and then just standing all the way in the back. And people playing on your hands, reaching over and putting money.
That's the thing. People could play on top of your hands. There were multiple spots.
Speaking, every language possible.
Yes.
So who knows what people were saying to other people about whose hand and what. It was very, very wild.
And we might have been cheated sometime. We probably were
sure
at some
we
points. Cheated in that maybe people behind us saw what hand we were playing and somehow conveyed that information to the bank. We don't know. But we would always go out with our friend Paul. Our friend Paul, who is here again, here on VIMFP weekend. He's one of our best friends. He's not here.
These are our new best friends, Mark.
That's right.
Paul. These are our new best friends.
Paul is staying at the Four Queens.
Yeah, he's right over there, right? He's interested in other things. Paul has his own agenda.
He has this. Well, one of the things when you play Pai Gow Poker, and it was kind of a jargon that would go around, is if you had maybe a good 5-card hand, but your 2-card hand was not very good, the expression was, you have no hair.
Yeah, because you had to win both hands.
Yeah. He said, no hair. Yeah. No hair. And our friend Paul is bald. And so everybody at the table, when they would have no hair, would go over and rub his head and say no hair. Maybe that's why he's not here.
Yeah, that might be a reason.
But we went out there all the time. Maybe we heard this story.
We went out a lot.
Yeah.
And our typical thing was to go out, play Pai Gow until like 5 in the morning, right?
Yes.
Then get rolled tacos at some taco place,
Yep.
barely alive, and then, at 6, head over to our parents for, Easter morning.
Yeah, right.
That was our normal, that was our normal Pai Gow.
That's not a joke. We would always go out for rolled tacos. There was one time that I remember particularly. This is a big story.
I hear this every week almost.
Where we got rolled tacos, we drove through. We had this place that we would always go to. Rolled tacos, taco stands in San Diego, Southern California. Many of them are open 24 hours. We go through the drive-through.
Many of them?
Many of them, yes.
All of them.
So we're going through the drive-through, and Mike is eating some rolled tacos or something, and he's sitting in the passenger seat of my car. And honest to God, this is what it looked like. He opened up the hot sauce and then poured it into my heater vent. It did not look like somebody, whoa, it was more like.
He's not making that up. It did look like that. I'll admit to that. That was not my intent. My intent was to somehow set it up there. But at 5 in the morning after playing Pai Gow all night,
Yeah.
I mean, all I could think of was, this needs to go in the heater vent. His car smelled like taco sauce for like
till I
ever.
sold it.
Yeah, till he sold it.
One more story, not quite a funny story, but sort of unbelievable when we were playing out there at these casinos. Well, you tell it, Mike, because it happened to you.
Yeah, we're walking through Sequan Casino at San Diego. People know where that is. Anyway, I'm walking by the trash, and the trash is full. I mean, completely full, and it's mounded up over the top. Sitting on the top of the trash is a $100 bill. It's just sitting on the trash.
Yeah, it wasn't like crumpled up.
No,
and
it's not like somebody threw it away.
was
It's like they placed it there. So I took it.
I mean, what else can you do, right? You can't. Oh, it's
Yeah.
anybody.
Anyone lose 100?
Anybody lose 100? So,
Yeah, sitting on the trash. Who put it there?
I don't know, and I think you were out of money, so it worked out.
Yeah, it
great
worked
at
out
the time.
great.
So- All right, so something else we used to do back when we were both single, we would deal for casino parties.
This was right after we got out of school.
Yeah, so we're out of college, and just on the weekends, just almost for fun. I mean, we got paid, but not much. But just for fun, we would deal these casino parties.
Well, it was good. We number one, we liked gambling.
Yeah, so it kind
So I
of
kept this in there.
Yeah.
There was always girls at the parties, so we were interested in that.
yeah.
And, we made like $30.
Yeah, it wasn't much, but we would deal craps and teach people the game, so we'd have a really good time. Well, one of these parties usually was charity events, that kind of thing. Sometimes corporate parties. One of these events was, I think it was a charity event.
It was a Christmas party for
A gym.
a gym.
Yeah, so
Gym
like
was having their Christmas party.
like a 24-hour fitness or Gold's Gym. It was
Right.
one of those kind of things. So they were having a casino party actually in the gym. And often when we would go on break, the people putting on the party said, "Oh, help yourself to the food." So that was always great. So one of these parties, we were both on break and we had some food. And we said, well, let's stop by the restroom before we go back to the tables.
our table,
Yeah.
right?
So we walk into the restroom, and standing there at the sink is a completely naked man
Completely.
eating food from the party.
And I mean, he had a plate of mounded food. I mean, it was a huge plate of food.
And this was at the sink in the bathroom of a gym, and he was kind of like, the plate was here just.
He looked at us like, "What are you guys doing in here?" Well, we're going to the bathroom. It's the bathroom, okay?
And I mean, it's Dr. Mike's fault, right? Because
Yeah,
he sees public nudity have you seen anything this weekend?
No, not this weekend.
No.
We still got time.
And
The best thing about that story is, though, think about it. He was completely naked eating a plate of food. So, did he go get the food, come in, put it down, get completely naked, and decide to sit on the sink and eat it? Or was he naked sitting on the sink and somebody brought him a plate of food? Which is, maybe worse. there's endless scenarios there. And neither one of us at that, we were young. I would have asked now. I would have said, so what's the deal here? God. I mean, that was amazing.
It was amazing.
It has bothered me my whole life to this point. I mean, I sit there at night sometimes and think, what the hell was that guy doing? It's going to be me in about, what?
That's right.
30 years when I'm 90.
That's
like
me
my dad.
asking
Yeah,
you.
that'll be me.
It'll be
What
here.
are you doing? Yeah.
Be at that D restroom right over here.
Yeah, you'll be right
hey,
back
it's
there in
Dr.
one of
Mike,
those booths.
everybody. We play in a regular poker tournament that one of our friends, Dave, puts on. He does a great job of doing it. This is kind of a couple of funny stories about this, but at the beginning of the tournament, he says, protect your cards. Anybody who's played poker knows you got to protect your cards. Make sure that the dealer doesn't inadvertently fold them for you, put them in the muck. You have to protect them. And the best way to do that is with some kind of card protector and keep it right
Chip
in front
that
of you.
says, don't be a dick.
We've got a real good friend. It's honestly what it says. I wish I could have found it so I could have passed it around. So we have a friend, Lyndon, who plays in our home game. And this announcement had just been made. And, this is a bunch of friends getting together. So they don't have dedicated dealers. We're all taking turns dealing the cards and taking everything up. And so I've got a pretty good hand. I don't know what it was, ace, king, something like that. Yep. So I put my, card protector on there. And I, make my bet. And it's time for a flop. So Lyndon brings all the money into the table, takes the card protector off my cards and puts it in the muck.
Yeah, good for Lyndon.
It's one thing to protect your cards, but when the dealer actually removes the card protector and then mucks the cards, there's not much you can do. That same tournament, this guy, I had pocket kings, a very good hand in Texas Hold'em. And the guy 2 down from me says what he's going to do. And he says, call in.
Call in. Yeah,
As
is that
in,
his name?
He's calling. He wants to make a call, but he says, call in. Now, what does that sound like? It is like all in, right?
Yeah.
So I
maybe
immediately...
it's just his name. Call him.
So I shoved in, right? Oh, I'm with you. Oh, no, it's just a call. So now I've given away my hand. And anyway. Quite a while ago, I think it was before you were married, Mike.
Yeah, it was.
Mike and my wife and I went to Del Mar Racetrack. And it was a big day at the racetrack because it was like jockey day. Wasn't it something like that?
It was retired jockey day.
Right.
All the retired jockeys, famous jockeys were there.
Yeah. And one of the jockeys there was Willie Shoemaker. Willie was like his nickname. He probably didn't like that. I don't think jockeys probably like being called Willie. But Bill Shoemaker, William Shoemaker.
Who doesn't like being called Willie?
But Bill Shoemaker, in his day, was certainly the most famous jockey, and still may be the most famous jockey that's ever lived.
Yeah.
He was involved in a terrible car crash, a single car crash. I think he was drunk.
Right.
And so for the remainder of his life, he was in a wheelchair. He was paralyzed. And so he was there, though. And, hey, Bill, Willie, hey, it's really good. And tell your story.
Well, they're parading all the jockeys out from the paddock onto the track. And there's, people are lined up on the side. So me and Mark and his wife are standing there. And here comes Willie Shoemaker in his wheelchair. And I swear to God, he veered out of his way to run over my foot. I mean, he literally ran, and it wasn't just a wheelchair. It was a scooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was heavy.
And you're, Mr. Shoemaker, glad to move. Ah!
I didn't move or anything. I mean, it's not like I moved. He veered out of his way to run over me. And then just kept going. Didn't say a word.
And what can you say?
Yeah.
Hey!
The whole... the whole wheel... I mean, it's like going over a bump, right? Didn't he feel my foot? So anyway, I've got that going for me.
Yeah. So
I've been run over by Willie Shoemaker.
All right. So those are some of our good stories. It looks like we're up on time. So hey, we want to thank Chuck and Hunter for all the work that they did. Now, honestly,
excellent.
I know the other podcasters can attest to this too. We don't do anything. We show up. And even the other day, we had this craps lesson over at Golden Gate. And I had contacted Chuck a few months ago, and I said, hey, is there a contact at Golden Gate? I'd like to maybe set up some kind of craps lesson. And Chuck said, no, I'll take care of it. So come Friday when we're there, not only did they have a table reserved for us, but it was all. I thought we would be teaching people as they honestly played the game.
Yeah,
with their own money.
They'd have to use their money, and
because
they get
last year
disappointed.
I explained the game, but you really have to kind of get the chips out there. And they had play chips available for everybody. It was an hour long. They had dealers that dealt for us, so that's an hour's worth of craps table money that the casino's missing out on. Thank you so much to Chuck for setting that up. For Derek for everything that he's done this weekend. For Golden Gate for setting that up. Just tremendous. And also, thanks to everybody who came to this event. We know that this is Sunday in Las Vegas. We know you all have lives, and most of your lives start on Monday morning. So,
well, also, it's catch-up day. So they need to be out there gambling.
Yeah, that's
I mean, you're wasting our time.
So thank you all for coming to this event and sticking around. We really appreciate it, and I know I speak for the other podcasters as well. Also, one last thing. After VIMP, tonight, Luxor, 8 o'clock. We've got a table there. If you want to come join us, come join us. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.